Hello YouTube, this is Corbin22 here, back with another 100-point squadron build for Star Wars X-Wing Miniatures. Tonight's build, we focus once more on the Imperial faction, and for this build, I've come up with something I like to call an Elite Swarm build. What this build entails is it's 4 standard TIE fighters, combined with the TIE Advance X1 as the squadron leader. Now this build, like I said, I like to think it's a combination between a swarm build and an elite build, because 3 of these ships are elite pilots, with the other 2 being just standard, common pilots. But even with the elite TIE fighters that I have here, the squadron point cost is so low that I could pretty much the squadron points cost I have for the 2 elite pilots that back up the TIE Advanced, they're so low that they might as well. I was able to add a couple more starfighters into the mix to make this more of a swarm build, but but also contain elite pilots as well. So, without any further ado, let's get right to their stats. Now, this build is quite a large build, but it doesn't have very many upgrade cards on it. But what it lacks in upgrades, it makes up for in numbers, which is great, because like I said, this is what I call an elite swarm build. So with that being said, let's get right to it. Our first ship is a TIE Advance X1, piloted by none other than Darth Vader himself. Sorry. Piloted by Darth Vader himself. He has a pilot skill of 9. He flies the Sinar Fleet Systems TIE Advance X1. His ship has an attack value of 2, an agility value of 3, a hull value of 3, and a shield value of 2. He can perform the Focus, Target Lock, Barrel Roll, and Evade action. He costs 29 squadron points, so he's the most expensive ship in this build. He's able to take on the Elite Pilot Talent and the Concussion Missile upgrade. His ability states, during your perform action step, you may perform 2 actions. So what with Vader's natural ability allows him to perform 2 additional actions. It can be 2 of the same or 2 completely different actions. In a way, his ability is more of an upgraded version of the Recon Specialist co-pilot card, but with a Recon Specialist, you're only allowed to take 2 focus actions, whereas with Vader's ability, you're allowed to take 2 of any other action, or one of one and one of another. For example, you could take 2 focuses, you could take 2 barrel rolls, you could take 2 evades, or you could take 1 focus and evade, 1 target lock and 1 evade, 1 barrel roll, and so on and so forth. Despite his stats and his ability, he isn't able to take that many upgrades. So, for what I was able to give him, I started off with giving Vader the Squadron Leader card. It's a card that needs to be performed during the action phase, and it states, choose 1 ship at range 1 to 2 that has a lower pilot skill than you. The chosen ship may immediately perform 1 free action. This is especially useful for any of the other TIE fighters that happen to be near him, because from the way the squadron build is set up, the 2 elite TIE fighter pilots will always be by Vader's side as his wingman, while the other 2 pilots will just kind of be off fighting wherever. Like they'll kind of be doing their own thing, or they'll be staying with Vader as well. And squadron leader, depending on who's closest to him, Vader can allow those ships to perform a free action to help either give them an edge or get them to a safe firing position. Now for his concussion missile, I've given Vader the Cluster Missiles upgrade. It states, spend your target lock and then discard this card to perform this attack twice. It has an attack value of 3 and can only be used at range 1 to 2. But with Cluster Missiles, they're a very deadly missile to have because they allow you to perform your attack twice, both with an attack value of 3. So say if you miss 1, then you have a second chance with this. However, even with both those chances, you still have both those attack options, you still have a chance to miss. So, just in case he does miss, I've given him a Munitions Failsafe modification, which basically states that if I attack with a secondary and I miss, I don't discard the secondary. I keep it until it actually does land a hit. With cluster missiles, that's pretty much a given, but it never hurts to be on the safe side, especially when you're dealing with secondaries that, with secondaries, it's like a fire and forget. You fire, you forget it, and if you miss, then that's your problem. Now, for his first elite wingman backing him up, I decided to include Mauler Mithel. Mauler Mithel is one of the wingmen that backed up Darth Vader in the Battle of Yavin when he was chasing down the Y-wing and X-wing fighters, zooming down the trench for the exhaust port. Mauler Mithel has a pilot skill of 7. He flies the Steiner Fleet Systems TIE Fighter. He has an attack value of 2, an agility value of 3, a hull value of 3, and a shield value of 0. He can take on the Focus, Barrel Roll, and Evasion action. He costs 17 Squadron points. He is able to take on the Elite Pilot Talent upgrade only. His ability states, when attacking at range 1, roll 1 additional attack die. So with Mauler Mithel, it's very crucial that you keep your enemy ships at range 1. Because with Mauler Mithel, if he keeps his within range 1 of his targets, then he gets one additional attack dice on top of his attack bonus. So that basically states his attack value will go up to 4 with both the attack bonus and his ability. And to make sure that he doesn't miss, and to make sure that his target has a more likely chance to hit, I've given him Outmaneuver. Outmaneuver states, when attacking a ship inside your firing arc, if you are not inside the ship's firing arc, reduce the agility value by 1 to a minimum of 0. So with this card, it makes Mauler Mithel a bomber killer. Basically, with Outmaneuver and his ability, plus him attacking at range 1, it pretty much makes his attacks a guarantee hit. To further allow him to guarantee a hit, I give him the modification Targeting Computer. It states, your action bar gains the lock-on action icon. So that means Mauler Mithel is able to perform a lock-on action on top of his already 3 existing actions. No TIE fighter in existence can do this. So that gives Mauler Mithel a bit more gives Mauler Mithel more options when he's attacking his opponents. And basically with Targeting Computer, Outmaneuver, and his ability, Mauler Mithel, you want to make sure you keep Mauler Mithel in your line of fire, otherwise you're pretty much screwed. Mauler Mithel will most likely take you down in one shot. For Vader's next elite pilot, wingman, I've chosen Backstabber. Backstabber is also one of the is the second of Vader's wingmen that actually supported him during the Battle of Yavin. That's zoomed down the trench after the Y-wing X-wings that were firing at the trench run, that firing the exhaust port at the end of the trench. He has a pilot skill of 6. He also flies the Steiner Fleet Systems TIE Fighter. He has an attack value of 2, an agility value of 3, a hull value of 3, and a shield value of 0. He can take on the Focus, Barrel Roll, and Evasion action. He costs 16 Squadron points, and he's unable to take any upgrades. But his ability states, when attacking outside the defender's firing arc, roll 1 additional attack die. So Backstabber's ability is very similar to that of Mauler Mithel's, with the difference being that Backstabber has to be outside of the ship's firing arc to gain that additional attack die. So if you have Mauler Mithel and Backstabber bearing down on you at both range 1, both those guys are going to hit you because Mauler Mithel combined with Outmaneuver makes it so that he gets the 2 attack bonuses both from range 1 and from his ability, plus Outmaneuver, which reduces your agility value. And then you've got Backstabber, who, if he's outside your firing arc, he gets an additional attack die, plus, if he's attacking at range 1, he also gets that additional attack bonus, so his attack value will also go up to 4. And to make sure that his target does have a guaranteed chance of hitting, I've also given him a Targeting Computer, which also gives him the lock-on function as well. So, yeah, these are 2 TIE fighters with lock-on capabilities, and combined with their abilities and their other upgrade cards, alongside their squadron leader Darth Vader, makes these 3 particular ships especially dangerous. Like these 3 ships are basically the bulk of the squadron. Now for the remaining two squad pilots, I've gone with 2 Academy pilots. They have a pilot skill of 1. They fly the Steiner Fleet Systems TIE Fighter. They have an attack value of 2, an agility value of 3, a hull value of 3, and a shield value of 0. They're able to take on the Focus, Barrel Roll, and Evasion action. They cost 12 Squadron points, though they're about as cheap as a Z95. They're unable to take any upgrades, and because this is a common style, this is a common pilot, they do not gain any additional abilities. So with the academy pilots are there for basically just added numbers. Like I said, like I've said again, this is an elite swarm build with 3 elite pilots and 2 common pilots, all of which have most of which have a squadron point cost so low that it allows for additional ships to be added. So really, I could have just gone with the 3 elite pilots and left the academy pilots out, but with the TIE fighters, it's always strength in numbers. So a swarm tactic for this build is incredibly effective, especially, you know. So this is the elite swarm pilot. This is the elite swarm build I have. The swarm strength, the ship's strength, or the squadron strengths. Well, again, it's a swarm build, so strength in numbers. That makes them especially dangerous if they're all bearing down on one target, especially with Backstabber and Mauler Mithel backing them up, because of their abilities and their modification upgrades. And plus we have Darth Vader, who also has Squadron Leader to allow them to take another to allow one of his wingmen to take another action on top of his regular action. Combined with his cluster missiles and munitions failsafe and his ability to take on perform 2 actions at once. Yeah, with this squad, it's a very dangerous squad. It's a useful squad to have if you try to bear down on one opponent, like say a VT-49 Decimator. Its weaknesses, all of the TIEs have relatively high evasive stats, but Vader is the only ship to have shields, whereas the other TIE fighters, they have to rely on their hull value and their pure luck. So I guess, yeah, the only real major weakness I see with this build is the fact that the TIE fighters can't take very much, and even Vader, with his impressive abilities and his added shield value, he's also pretty fragile in this build as well. I mean, he's the most durable of these ships, but he can be taken out with a few handful of hits. So, but I guess that's the problem we face with all swarm builds. Anyway, so yeah, this is my elite pilot. This is my elite swarm build. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Any constructive criticism is greatly appreciated. If you guys like, you may use this build for casual or competitive play, or you can tweak it to your own specifications or completely revamp it to your own original squadron. Anyway, thank you all for watching, guys. This is Corbin22, signing off.